This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to Karl Gerber, Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I'm a real workplace lawyer, and for this episode, you can call me Captain. This is our Veterans Day episode. But I'd like you to sit back. This is the craziest radio show you're ever going to hear. Believe it or not, I actually got a guest to come on to this show. Yeah, I did. And he's actually a veteran. So, sir, thanks for returning to the show. As a guest, it's nice to have a combat veteran on the show every Sunday, or, well, this is Saturday before Veterans Day.
I've never been on this show before.
You sat across from me on episode 30 and told me about a lot of things, like the Purple Heart you got when you got captured, and also the Helms Foundation's medal for inflicting death on the Taliban through non-sexual buggery.
That wasn't me. I did get that medal, though. Both of them.
You also told us you worked for a company called Atlantis. You were under the sonar, and the company relied on ex-military, but they were pretty apt to fire them if they had to be deployed and miss work.
That sounds familiar.
Are you recalling you were on this show before?
It might seem that way. Not that I'm recalling, but that I was on this show before, but I wasn't.
All right, I'll let this go for the time being, especially if you have something to report in regard to your veteran status and employment law.
Yeah, I've got lots of issues.
Do these relate to employment law?
Some of them.
Being that this is a live radio show and we've got an extremely large number of people listening, could you sort of get to the point and tell us what these employment problems are?
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Did I say no, sir?
You did.
Oh, if we make this confusing enough, will those people stop listening so we can have a private conversation?
I doubt it. More people listen if these bizarre conversations progress. Lots of people on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube, too. We're live streaming.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Maybe, sir. I don't go that way, sir. What do you think about not allowing transgender people in the military?
Let's try not to make this a political show.
Yes, sir. You're the commander-in-chief of this show. A soldier obeys.
Well, very good. Tell us what your employment problem or problems are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you always talk like this?
No, sir.
The employment issue, please?
Yes, sir. Many, since I got fired from Atlantis.
Oh, so you admit that you actually work for Atlantis?
Yes, sir. All downhill since then.
Well, where have you worked?
Security, sir. High-level security. A lot of veterans get into security and law enforcement.
Were you in law enforcement?
2 security jobs since Atlantis. High-level detail, concealed weapons, sometimes M27 automatic infantry rifles. 3,938-yard range.
Oh, why would you need to reach a target 3 miles away on a private security detail?
Sniper station. During deliveries.
What was being sniped?
Intruders.
What was being delivered?
Different product. Different employers.
I didn't realize companies had these kind of machine guns to use when deliveries came in.
These employers did. Not typical in the U.S. of A. Not typical employees or employers either.
Well, now we're getting somewhere.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. What if a private enterprise employer is fighting a semi-biological war? Sir, must the employee comply?
I'd need a lot more information before I could answer that question. If this is a government contractor, I'd think so. If the employer is, is recreant and engaged in illegal conduct, I don't think you'd have to obey.
Employer has ties to the government, very high levels. Employer B has ties to Congress.
Well, this sounds quite realistic these days.
Sir, yes, sir. A soldier never lies.
Well, I certainly don't want to be calling a soldier a liar. I mean, I could impeach a soldier if they were on the other side of the lawsuit, but let the record reflect that you categorically denied ever being on this show before when you first showed up, and I know that isn't true.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is it?
Categoric is a strong word.
Well, we can read back your testimony, but in response to multiple questions, you denied ever being here before.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Was that testimony under oath?
It wasn't. Would you feel differently? I mean, would have you testified differently if you took an oath to tell the truth?
No, sir.
Well, then how are we supposed to distinguish between what you might be telling the truth about and what you might be lying about?
In deciding whether to believe a witness' testimony, you may consider, among other factors, the following. B. How well did the witness remember and describe what happened?
Excuse me, but what was factor A?
C. How did the witness look, act, and speak while testifying? D. Did the witness have any reason to say something that was not true? People often forget things or make mistakes in what they remember. You may consider these differences, but do not decide that testimony is untrue just because it differs from other testimonies. However, if you decide that a witness did not tell the truth about something important, you may choose not to believe anything that witness said. On the other hand, if you think the witness did not tell the truth about some things but told the truth about others, you may accept the part you think is true and ignore the rest.
Soldier, you're reading selective parts of KC 107. It's a civil jury instruction on whether to believe a witness's testimony.
Sir, yes, sir.
Are you suggesting I and the listeners have to consider all the stuff you just read to determine why you are knowingly denying being on this show in episode 30 when in fact you have been?
Sir, yes, sir.
Are you suggesting you forgot your earlier appearances on this show?
Sir, no, sir. The part about whether the witness had a reason to say something that is not true.
You have a reason for denying you were already on this show?
Sir, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir.
That's about what I thought.
Sir, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir.
You're making this difficult. You're telling us right away there might be reasons to distrust you or believe your recollection isn't good, or alternatively, you have a motive to lie.
Where are you getting all this? I know it relates to KC 107, but I feel you're thinking there's got to be judgment passed about whether I'm telling the truth.
Well, people are always making judgments about whether someone's telling the truth.
I'll tell you the story. The listeners can decide if they believe me.
Well, that's sort of how a case works.
Well, I am in the California National Guard. I still get those calls from the military, too. Last year, I escorted Chap Stick to a very high-level meeting over in South Korea.
Yes, we heard about that in episode 30 of the show.
It don't matter that I've got the Purple Heart, the medal from the Helms Corporation. Now, the Helms Foundation, that's the branch that does charitable work.
Excuse me, there's something I have to say. This program is made possible through a generous grant from the Helms Foundation's $5.14 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment.
Gosh, that's a big endowment.
We're talking about Rhemus Helms. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. This is comedy at its highest level. Don't believe a word you hear. That was a real Casey jury instruction, though. If you have a real employment problem, I'd like you to give me a call at the office during normal business hours, 9 to 6:30 at 877-525-0700. If you're a veteran who was fired because you had to be deployed or had to do some military training, that actually is against the law. I do those kind of cases. I can be reached at 877-525-0700. Unpaid wages, wrongful termination. That's when I do, and I'm not writing this crazy stuff. 877-525-0700. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We'll be back in just a minute and find out more about what this soldier has to say. Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I'm a real workplace lawyer, and maybe if I got some working windshield wipers, I could see the clearer path to getting better guests on this show. But we do have a veteran here tonight who denied being here before, even though he was.
Well, now that I'm honorably discharged, I've got to make a living in the private sector. PTSD and all. They found me.
Who found you?
I guess a lot of people heard episode 30. They thought I did a good job. Two things led to one thing. I got called in for a job interview in the South Bay. Yeah, Torrance, I think. It was kind of weird. The job interview was at a Chinese restaurant.
What was his job for?
Very sure. Maximum security.
Oh, at a prison?
Not for the first job. The second one was more like a prison, but they weren't holding actual peoples.
The first one didn't even hold a singular people?
That product grew and grew and grew, but it wasn't human.
Oh, we've heard about a few products like that on this show.
There were threats of corporate espionage and destruction. They needed somebody with my security clearances. Experience, too. After my mission in North Korea, the commander-in-chief recommended me.
Well, that would normally be an honor.
I later found out he was pretty tight with the owner of the company. The owner knew every hair on his head.
Did you get the job?
I was deployed to the Hoboken, New Jersey.
I didn't know Frank Sinatra was running a military operation there.
Sinatra? What's he got to do with this? It was a private contractor.
Well, I'm not licensed in New Jersey. I can't give you legal advice about that job there. I can say during that period of time, I had a nationwide employment law practice pretty much in the middle of a great recession. The New Jersey lawyers doing the cases told me the laws there were even more favorable than California, and employees could get their attorney fees paid if they had straight wrongful termination lawsuits, opposed to something with an element of, EEOC, DFEH rights, or labor code violations.
Sir, I am not here for your legal advice.
Then why are you here?
Duty.
Since this story is so riveting, but we don't even have the protagonist's name, that's you, go right ahead and tell us what you were doing in Hoboken.
Trade secrets, not authorized. Hey, if they violated federal laws, can you advise me?
Well, that's a good question. I'd have to get permission to appear in the federal court in New Jersey, pro hac vici.
I'm swinging and touting and firing off rounds on my M27. Not mine, sir. The company's.
Why in the world would you be firing off such a powerful weapon for a civilian employer?
Chief's orders.
What chief?
The commander.
This sounds highly illegal.
There's an inquiry going on.
Maybe you should have a private conversation with a lawyer who is an expert in whatever it is happened. I can't really advise you on obscure federal laws that may allow a civilian contractor to use such excessive force.
Sir, you are an expert.
Well, in controlled standby pay, I am. Prevailing wages, sexual harassment, wrongful termination, of course, but not federal laws about M27s.
Have you heard of the M80s?
Yes, I believe they're an 80s cover band.
Yes, sir, they are.
Well, what do they have to do with this?
Nothing.
Nothing? That's what I thought.
You've met this employer.
Then would it be a conflict of interest for me to even comment on this situation because I'm a lawyer and you're thinking I'm giving legal advice even if I'm not completely qualified because I'm not licensed in New Jersey and the Jersey laws might be at issue?
Sir, no, sir. No, sir, not. Yes, sir.
Oh, how can this be? I mean, I need to know who the employer is.
On this very broadcast, you stated he is public enemy numero one.
We can't get into any more political discussions, especially on this radio station. I mean, it's completely apolitical here. I mean, they don't even cover politics ever. I mean, not ever.
Sir, no, sir. Nor, sir. Please refer to KC 107. Need to know why you are lying.
This is comedy.
No, sir. You said my employer is public enemy number one.
You know, the problem with the guess is you guys forget that I write this gibberish. You can't fool me. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Sir, yes, sir. Not nor, no, sir.
Who else has a front where they make Caek Caek cakes that non-Russians call Caek Caek?
No, sir. This is not a guessing game.
Did your employer operate out of a front that makes, let me get the pronunciation on this so it sounds authentic, Caek Caek cakes that non-Russians know as 25%, you know, of my ancestry is Russian, so I can't speak Russian, but, whatever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Does the president of the company you worked at hold a hairdresser's license in the state of New York?
Just Jersey right now, sir. He only does 3 plug trims in Manhattan these days, but he's relocating to Florida along with his client.
Did your former employer manufacture ever-growing berber toupees that are actually nylon?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's affirmative, sir.
You do know that I found Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M, over on episode 36 of this show, and I confronted him. It's an odd show that I entirely narrate it myself for security reasons. I couldn't have anyone playing Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M. I still can't.
I thought you held auditions this year.
Well, my lawyer has advised that since Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M, is a public figure, somebody could play him.
Then why's he never been on this show?
Oh, man, I went through at least 100 auditions. Nobody could play the part.
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know what you mean.
At any contingency rate, I hope things went entirely dismal over at the ever-growing berber that's actually nylon warehouse / front for engaging in biological warfare with those things.
Yeah, I sniped thousands of targets.
That's horrible. All to protect an utterly terrible product.
I was told it was a matter of national security.
Who told you that?
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. I've only agreed to answer written questions.
Oh no! I can't proceed with this show!
Sir, yes, sir, no, sir, no, sir, you must.
You need a different lawyer.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir, you're a whistleblower lawyer.
I get involved in cases involving private employers.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Maybe, sir, no, sir. Private employer I worked.
I need to seek advice on this matter. Just a minute. Please allow me. Oh, you've been listening? Rhemus, you always listen. Yeah, I know the whole cosplay ostrich ranch is listening. Okay. Excuse me, soldier. There's something I have to say. This program is made possible through a generous grant from the Helms Foundation's $5.14 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment.
This is a very irresponsible broadcast, sir.
Well, just because Rhemus Helms showed up at the Lucky 7 Tarzan, really Reseda, 25 years ago to pay a gas bill, and he wasn't prepared, and he subsequently fathered Hinita Orchid Helms with the world-famous neuronurse Nazuki, that doesn't mean he is an irresponsible man these days.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. He manufactured the recalled Cindy D sex robot. All those sex robots, the virus, the break in the seams to the waterproofing, episodes 76 and 77 of this show. Go to the Karl Gerber with a K channel and subscribe.
There do seem to be some lapses in the judgment of the Helms Corporation. Probably the Helms Foundation, too.
If I wanted Rhemus Helms advice, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, I see your point.
I sniped 3,114 targets, no poking.
What were these targets?
Sex robots.
I don't even know what to say. Can you snipe a sex robot? Do they go down?
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Sex robots do go down.
Why in the world would you snipe 3,114 sex robots?
An army, sir. An army of sex robots.
They're harmless, except for the excess fluids they thrust into the magna of the earth underneath the Rhemus Helms Worldwide Distribution Center on account of their procreating activities.
Sir, have you ever been assaulted by a sex robot?
Oh, my gosh. I think we got to take a break here. I'm a real sexual harassment lawyer, and I know about sexual assault and battery. That's what I spent a lot of time doing, representing clients. If you want a real lawyer, I mean, I am a real lawyer in 4 states. I got 15 offices in California. I can be reached at 877-525-0700. Anytime I do a trial, the witnesses the other side puts on, they start sounding like the guests on this show, like really fast. And you know what happens then? The company don't win. So I'm at 877-525-0700 during normal business hours, 877-525-0700 for a very righteous sexual harassment lawyer. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KBC, and I don't know about sniping sex robots. Talk Radio 790 KBC. Look, this is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and before we broke, I was asked a question from this guest here who was doing security ever-growing berber toupee factory where the toupees are actually nylon. And he asked me if it was possible to be assaulted by a sex robot. So I've been thinking about this, and I want to answer the question. I think it raises all sorts of possibilities. By the way, it's battery if you're touched, but it is a sexual battery if a sex robot touches your intimate sexual organs, or you touch theirs. I don't know that, but no, this is too weird. I can't see it coming up in a sexual harassment lawsuit. I don't think sex robots can sue.
What? Coming up?
Well, if a person touched the sexual organs of a sex robot, I don't think the sex robot could sue for sexual battery. I seriously, I don't want to be the first lawyer to be bringing that case.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. The Fair Employment and Housing Act only applies to persons.
Yeah, that's true, but what's the definition of a person?
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. This is a silly discussion.
Well, excuse me, but did you happen to catch episode 80 of this show when Cindy D and Reverb's mother was on the show and disclosed that she made the sex organs that are now in these sex robots? The Helms Corporation now has those things functioning. How can you say the robots aren't human?
No, it's not 3,114 procreating sex robots with real sex organs.
You know, I'm not an expert on the term snipe, but do snipers use machine guns?
Sir, not the point.
Well, I feel you've raised many moral, ethical, and legal issues here.
Sir, may I go now?
Sure, just leave the listeners in suspense as to why a man who makes ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon would be invaded by an army of 3,114 sex robots and would... Why you'd be on the scene to snipe them?
Sir, orders from the commander.
Just the commander or the commander-in-chief?
Commander Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M-N-M.
This is lunacy.
Sir, I need your help.
Look, man, I spent my Christmas tracking down Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M. I thought I made it very clear to him what would happen if he didn't take those awful toupees off the market. After the first of the year, he had a blowout sale that I thought would be the last, but then he got in between the metal framing of the walls over in the office in Century City, you know, the Twin Towers that housed the most important database in the world. I mean, you know, the one that it tracked every sanitary napkin use ever. It's episode 46, a lot of footnotes tonight. The fool downloaded the database onto an 8-inch floppy disk. I mean, seriously, who has ever even heard of an 8-inch floppy disk, that is, these days? The talks between North Korea and South Korea failed after that. The North didn't have the database. I'm done chasing that moron across all corners of the earth.
Sir, no, sir. This show must have a villain.
Maybe we could hold auditions on somebody being willing to play a man with a slight Russian accent who's inherently evil.
Sir, no, sir. Not the point. My life might be in jeopardy.
And look, I've got Rhemus Helms on the phone line still. I mean, let's see if he cares about the loss of those sex robots.
I failed at the mission.
Well, I thought you were ordered to snipe the sex robots.
They infiltrated. I took liberties with sex robot Cindy D model. I got stuck. There were sex robots Hing everything in sight, dissolving ever-growing Berber that is actually nylon. The mistress Lubov model was using her whip to death the ever-growing Berber that is actually nylon.
These are battle sounds, but it's not a battle. It sounds like an orgy. Guys, I want to get this straight, okay? You're stuck in a sex robot. There's mass chaos at a Russian cake factory that's actually manufacturing ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon.
Sort of, sir, sort of. I can bench press 450 pounds, sir. I was defenseless.
Were you in active combat with these sex robots?
Sir, yes, sir. No, sir.
Well, then what went down?
It didn't go down.
Then what did you do?
The Cindy D sex robot only weighs 95 pounds.
And last week she came in here and she made this noise.
Sir, no, sir. No sex noises. You'll get censored.
And with something like this. I mean, she sounds like that. How can she only be 95 pounds if that's what the walk's like?
Sir, no, sir. I lifted her up, but her back to the ceiling.
Did you use her as a weapon?
Sir, no, sir. She's a lady.
This is Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're talking to a federal whistleblower. Sir, how did you fight with you being inconvenienced, so to speak, and the Cindy D sex robot being held up? Not exactly as a shield, but because, well, you were indisposed in a certain place.
Oh, the smell.
Yeah, I've heard these mass biological events have an earthy smell.
No, sir. Hinita Orchid Helms, candles whose smell simulates the human sexual experience.
Well, this was a full-on orgy then.
Sir, yes, sir. Largest sex robot orgy ever.
Did somebody profit off that?
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. Not monetary.
I'm sure it was gratifying for somebody.
Sir, all my men were down. I mean, some of them weren't on the bottom.
How many men did you have?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. 1,114 armed guards, 676 men, the rest large-boned Russian women. Slovenian, too. I told the boss I didn't think the Slovenian women were good, not so large-boned.
Well, that's sex discrimination. You don't believe in women being in the military?
Sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir. That wasn't the issue, sir. Silicone ruptures.
Oh, I see your point.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. The First Lady is their role model.
Hey, no political talk.
But my army was, as you say, sexually battered by the sex robots, the candles. They couldn't help it.
Well, hold on. Rhemus Helms is saying something. Okay. He says you put up a valiant fight, but when it comes to his daughter's candles and the sex robots, the humans didn't stand a chance. He says what? He'll hire you back? You work for Rhemus Helms?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I am not a traitor.
Well, I know there's a conflict of interest here on account of Rhemus Helms sponsoring this show, but how is it you went to work for him after trying to fight his sex robots when you were under the influence of one of those candles that simulates the human sexual experience and you were, well, stuck?
Workers' compensation.
What does that have to do with anything?
Mr. Gerber, it wasn't easy to get me out.
Was that your only combat injury? I mean, while working as security at the ever-growing Berber toupee factory that's really nylon.
Sir, no, nor, sir. Don't take this thing the wrong way. There are far worse combat injuries, but imagine being stuck inside a sex robot. Your entire army is down. I mean, they're all down, and all you can hear is all those sounds of ecstasy, and you're losing the battle.
Why am I just hearing about this extremely important and actually very interesting battle only now?
It's taken me 114 days to even be able to talk about this.
I'm afraid we could be offending veterans of different wars. We actually have some WW2 vets listening. I mean, I've got an uncle who still wears his dog tags. My grandfather was older in the big war, but he went to England to teach the Americans and the English how to draw, artwork. He illustrated the newsletters for soldiers. I've got my USAA card here.
Oh, sir. I've been on important missions, not just the lost battle of the sex robots. This is the life of a lot of veterans. Not all of us go on to be fired by the White House or made fun of because we're tortured when we get captured serving our country.
Yeah, I've represented a lot of veterans in security, car sales, even motel repairs. And in the old days, aerospace, sometimes, these guys, the vets, they worked for private contractors on a base like over in Port Hueneme.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. The pay was about $114,000 a year. And one free ever-growing Berber toupee that is actually nylon a month. Only problem, I've got hair. Not much. That's my choice, sir.
Well, then what did you do with all the 3 ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon?
Yeah, I burned them.
Really?
Any American who burned a draft card, now I ain't got no respect, but to burn an ever-growing Berber toupee that is actually nylon, that's the only responsible thing to do.
Well, I do have to agree. I've heard some of the fires in California were caused by those things growing and growing and growing and getting in between the studs of houses and the insulation and the drywall and then the electric.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Man, this is a really weird show, and that's why a lot of people are listening to it, the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. And believe it or not, I'm a real workplace lawyer, and if you want to call up and complain to me, you can do that at 877-525-0700. Or if you want to hire a lawyer that's going to script your lawsuit like crazy, and you're going to win. Yeah, 877-525-0700. Once again, 877-525-0700. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Talk Radio 790 KABC. Remember that tune? I loved it. It inspired me. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, and we've had some stuff we've been talking about, and it's not normal. So, soldier, if you blew the whistle on the dangers of an ever-growing berber toupee that's actually nylon, that's not exactly new news. We've even known about the attempt to funnel those things through that company called Tested Toilet Plungers and weird-shaped pastas and sell them to foreign countries so that they grow and grow and grow and grow.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. That's not what I blew the whistle on either.
What did you blow the whistle on?
Sir, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir.
No, sir, what?
No, sir. My identity must be protected.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've been on this show twice, and we don't even know your name.
Can you ask Rhemus Helms what do?
What? I mean, I'm shocked. Why Rhemus Helms?
Well, I need protection.
Are you considering, tapping into his supply of used condoms? I mean, we've sort of been through this. That isn't the best material to build subterranean waterproofing out of.
Well, no, sir, no, sir. No, sir.
Look, I don't know why you need protection, but on the other hand, insurance might not cover an unforeseen event like you've been describing. I've never heard of a sex robot invasion and ensuing battle that actually sounds more like, I hate to say it, an orgy.
Sir, why did you just blow a whistle? Oh, I'm sorry.
You blew the whistle.
That was me. Says, my mind ain't right. Sir, no, sir, no, sir. I don't just blow a whistle. I blew the whistle 114 days ago.
What could have you possibly blown the whistle on?
Where, sir? Where, sir, have you been?
California, all over Southern California on these employment law cases.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. The news comes on this show several times during commercial breaks.
I'm usually too busy thinking about what jokes I can make out of the commercials and relating them to the guests that come on this show.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. Impeachment has been discussed on your show. Maybe not discussed. Passing references, though.
I'm trying to avoid getting into political content. It's too controversial.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. My life is in danger.
All right, let's not get any more mental than we're already have gone on here.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. I did blow that whistle.
On what?
Well, I'll lay it out on the line. I'm the whistleblower everybody is talking about.
Who?
The whole country.
You're the whistleblower who heard that stupid conversation with the Ukraine?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
I'm not falling for this. I mean, this is a fake news show and everything, but there's no way we're going to mislead people to believing you are the whistleblower.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. 0900. The aftermath of that orgy. I'm still stuck. Myron Alfombra, pronounced Maddie, was spelled Eminem, comes on the scene. I make a quick count of all the sex robots I sniped.
Well, you're stuck?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. 3 days later, I checked myself into the hospital. Very embarrassing, sir.
What kind of an injury did you suffer?
A minor sexual injury.
Well, I'm glad to hear it wasn't any more serious.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. 3,014 snipe sex robots, busted transmitters, busted nuts, and bolts everywhere.
I can hardly imagine this carnage.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. I managed to snipe most of them, even though I was stuck.
Were these robots salvageable?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Minor repairs. Their sex organs weren't damaged.
Whew.
Yeah, I hold an expert badge from the United States Army.
Is that higher than a sharpshooter?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. 36, 40 targets for expert. 30 to 35 for sharpshooter.
With that aim, I can't believe you got stuck.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. I sniped the sex robots between their eyebrows. All Myron Alfombra, pronounced Madding but spelled M&M, had to do was place a small bendy mark over the former bullet holes. Hindi sex robots, very popular in the Ukraine.
I never knew the Ukrainians had a particular penchant for Hindi sex robots.
Oh, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
This is ludicrous.
No, sir, no, sir. The next calendar day, 0700, Myron Alfombra, pronounced Madding but spelled M&M, was doing a three-way.
Oh, we don't want to hear about that kind of a sex act.
Sir, no, sir, no, sir. A three-way landline call on a secret telephone.
Who was on this call?
Myron Alfombra, pronounced Madding but spelled M&M, the commander-in-chief, and a certain dignitary of the Ukraine itself. I think he was a former prosecutor.
Oh, interesting. What happened next?
The commander said he captured 3,014 units.
Units of what? Like blood?
No, sir, no, sir. Sex robots.
The robots were now considered military units?
Sir, no, sir. Sexual units.
By who?
Both nations.
Okay.
It went like this. Can you read the part of the Ukrainian?
Oh, I can try.
We have 3,014 pristine Hindi units.
Hindus I like.
I have a lot of experience with Slovenian women. More than you'll ever have.
Slovenian women you have?
Not for you.
I take Hindi women.
You're supposed to sound like a Ukrainian.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay, please continue.
How can I get Hindi units?
Can you do some looking into that old guy running for office who says almost as many stupid things as the fake news says I say? They all hate me. There's a conspiracy against me. That's why I only eat fast food.
How do I get the Hindi units?
Quid pro quo.
That's a legal term. No, I know go that way. You stay with Slovenian women.
I would. I really would. But I was on the outs of her, and then I won. And then the Democrats are watching my hair plugs like they are ever growing berber. That isn't growing.
How soon I get the Hindi units?
I'm going to hold out until you do the quid pro quo thing.
Impressive. I don't know you can hold out. I don't know you can still do it.
I'll walk if you don't want the sex robots.
Sex robots, I want. Hindi sex robots, okay. Rather have Slovenian.
Well, they're men and women models.
I don't want male model. Maybe we use somewhere else. Hey, these Rhemus Helms models? No Cindy D model. No want my people. Get stuck.
One of our men is down right now. He's a real loser anyway. He got captured. No soldier is a good soldier if they get captured.
I know, agree. Soldier who survived torture for country, patriot. You never done service. You go bankrupt all the time.
Oh, I just realized I've been doing this in the wrong voice the whole time.
Is there more to this conversation?
Yeah, just look into it. Then quid pro quo. That was the last thing I was supposed to say, and that was the conversation.
You know, I mean, this is crazy. We're hearing about sex robots captured in corporate espionage. It's too much. I mean, I'm a real workplace lawyer. I can't take a case like this. You got to give me a serious case. 877-525-0700 during normal business hours for a real employment lawyer. 877-525-0700 for the funniest employment lawyer in California, maybe the rest of the world. 877-525-0700 if you want me to represent you if you're a real whistleblower. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. This is the craziest show on commercial radio. Get used to it. Everyone's listening to it. Until next week, have a wonderful week of workplace abuse.
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.